Well, it's Bank Holiday Monday and we're off to Ripley Castle. Today I'm on my own in the red Vauxhall Cavalier GLS Mk2, and up front we've got the blue Mk1 Cavalier 1.9 GL automatic. I haven't been to Ripley Castle before, haven't got a clue what to expect, but we have had quite a bit of rain the last couple of days, so I'm hoping the ground's going to be alright. It was only a couple of days ago that we were at Usher College, and that turned out to be a scorching day, but I haven't wanted to tempt fate, and I've put the brollies in the back of the car. So at the minute I'm driving down the A1 in the red Cavalier. Now I'll tell you what, it feels no different from driving a new car. This car is really happy driving along at this speed. And of course, both cars are turning heads off other road users. Now hopefully the light will be okay today, get some good video and photographs in. I've never been to Ripley Castle before, so I have no idea what to expect, if there's going to be a lot of vehicles, what kind of vehicles.
Now, if you were wondering just how wet the ground was, check out some of this road footage here. There was whole rivers across the road. And then as we enter the actual showground, just look at the level of mud. And then just like that, through the mud and onto the field. And when I say field, it was like driving through a meadow. What do you think about the length of the grass here at this show? Now, after a quick cup of coffee, I got my feet wet and we kicked things off with this Ford Focus. And in contrast, sat right next to it is this 1964 MG. Now, a type of vehicle that's starting to make more of an appearance at these car shows is the Mk2 Ford Fiesta. In this case, this 1988 1.4. You gotta love a bright yellow car, and this Mk2 Ford Escort from 1980 is no exception. Something I hadn't seen up close before was this 1971 Marcos. Now, my feet were very wet by this point, but the sun was out and plenty of people had turned up, so it hadn't put me off. Getting quite a bit of attention from the younger generation was this 2006 Ford 4.6 Orange County Sheriff's Police car. Looking nice and standard, it's hard to believe that this Volkswagen is now 34. Everywhere we go there seems to be an AC Cobra replica. In this case it's a 2001 5-litre GD 427 Mark IV. I love the way the sun brings out the paintwork on this 1989 Porsche 3.6 litre Carrera. Now, I certainly don't blame the owner of this 1990 Ford Escort XR3i Cabriolet for having the roof down, as the interior is incredibly tidy, not to mention the exterior. Now, I don't think I've seen so many Datsun vehicles at shows in previous seasons. But just look how tidy this 1982 1-litre Datsun is. Now, you really don't see many Peugeot 309s about these days, and this 1990 example is really, really tidy. The engine bay is unbelievably clean. I was so happy to see this at this show. Looking at home grazing in the field is this 1976 3-litre Triumph Stag. Does my eyes deceive me? Is this a 1989 Vauxhall Astra GTE? And not only that, a 16-valve version as well. And sitting next to the Astra GTE, keeping a watchful eye, is this 1979 Opel Monza. And the further down the hill you go, the wetter your feet get. So further down the field, we've got this lovely 1994 4-litre Jaguar XJS. You forget just how long the bonnets were on these cars. Another Mark II Ford Escort, this time a 2-litre 1980 example. The engine bay looks incredible, the car looks really clean, but just look at that interior, spectacular. Oh look, another Jaguar XJ, this time a 1995 4-litre example. You've just got to love that turquoise colour, looks so great in the sun. Oh look, there's some minis. I do like the minis, and these two were so well presented inside and out. I mean, the inside of the orange mini there, absolutely incredibly clean, really tidy. And hiding away at the end of the row is another couple of minis, both very nice examples again. I've got to say the mini owners really are looking after these. Now this really is something you don't see every day. Check out this Volvo 1972 2-litre estate. Let's be fair, back in the day, most of these estates really did look estate. Oh, my heart just skipped a beat. Check out this bronze 1987 1.2 Vauxhall Nova 2-door saloon. Once commonplace, very rarely seen on the road these days. Having owned many Novas over the years, mainly SRs, Merits, SRIs, SXIs, GTEs, I have a real fondness for these little vehicles. I was so happy to see this at this show. So next to that Nova, we've got a lovely 1973 built 1.3 Volkswagen Beetle. So yes, I was excited to see yet another Nova at the show, this time in 1988. 3-door hatchback, not original by any way, but it was really nice to see yet another one of these motors on the road. Something else that's starting to increase is the appearances of both the Maestro and the Montego. In this case, both MG examples looking absolutely great. These are also something that had a tendency to be rotting away when they were still on the road. And a matter of yards away were a few more examples of the Maestro. Now, stepping back in time for some real classic vehicles with these two Austins. I particularly liked the fruit and veg van. That one was particularly nice. Next time someone says to you they drive a classic Ford, is it really a classic Ford, or is it as classic as this 1956 1172cc? Also at the show were a grand selection of both Range Rover and Land Rovers. Especially the Range Rovers, took a particular fancy to some of them. Here at Aidans Retro Rides, we've got a particular interest in the Velour and Suffix A. So it was nice to see some good examples of Range Rover and Land Rover here at the show. Well, it's to the manor born and not often quite represented in so many numbers were a collection of Rolls Royces and Bentleys here at this show. As you can imagine, all of the owners were sat at the rear of their cars having cream teas and scones. Off to the MR2 stand with some really beautiful examples of those Toyotas. And then right next door, it was off for a bit of supercar action. Over at the Project J Preservation Group stand, there was a nice selection of the Land Rover Discoveries. Now, over at this section of the field, I was quite glad to see that many 4x4s because the ground was absolutely soaking in this area. I'm so glad we managed to park higher up the field. I do like a Lotus, and I was so happy to find this 1986 example. Very clean, very tidy, very nice indeed. Off now for a bit of American muscle and this lovely red Ford Mustang. Off to find the Ford XR Owners Club. As you can see, they were well presented with some lovely examples of the Escort, Fiesta and Sierra here. Check out this gem, this 1979 BMW 320 left-hand drive. I'm assuming it's going to be an import because its actual first date of registration with the DVLA is 2023 and it being a left-hand. But look at the condition that this BMW was in. There's a lot of Ford Capris about these days, but this 1980 3-litre example, engine bay's perfectly clean, outside lovely paint colour, and the interior absolutely beautiful. Here's one for the Vauxhall and General Motors viewers. It's a 1998 3.8 litre Holden Calais. Now, I didn't think I'd ever see one of these up close and personal, but check out this BMW M1. And something else I didn't think I'd get to see up close and personal was this Ariel Atom. Today's full of cars I hadn't seen before. Check out this 1936 5.7 litre Auburn. Back on the lookout again now for some real classics. Now all I'm going to say about the second vehicle is it's patina. Oh look, it's a 2CV, and in this case it's a 1985 example. Do like a 2CV, plenty of memories with those. A couple of nice American vehicles here, first with a GMC van, do like a GMC van, and next to it a childhood favourite of mine, the Trans Am. Next up, we've got a nice Vauxhall Viva here, 1975 example with a 1256 engine. It's hard to believe that such a big vehicle would have an engine that small back in the day. And next to the Viva, we've got a lovely Vauxhall Victor. Now, by this point, I was starting to become quite exhausted trampling through that muddy, wet field. Legs and feet totally soaking by this point. So let's take a look at the last few cars. So up on the row with our vehicles, quite a contrast. We've got this 2008 Porsche. This 1958 MG. and this 2018 Chevrolet. And then, of course, you've got the cars that we arrived in here today, the 1978 Mk1 Vauxhall Cavalier 1.9 GL automatic and the 1983 1.6 GLS Vauxhall Cavalier Mark II. Now, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this from this episode. It was wet ground, it was muddy ground, it was long grass, there was lots of cars. People were paying to see this show, but I'm not going where you think I'm going with this. So I'm not about to ask, should the show have gone ahead under those conditions? I'm actually about to ask, how early is too early to leave? Now, as I said, people are paying to enter and see this show. Now, by about 1 o'clock during this event, vehicles already started to move off from the show field. Now, bearing in mind, I've just said it was wet, it was muddy, and there was long grass. I'd be upset if I was paying to see a car show if by 1 o'clock some of the cars were already leaving. And it had nothing to do with the weather raining. The actual weather there was actually quite good. It was quite warm, it wasn't cold or anything like that. But if you're going to turn up to a car show, stay there. It's not just because people are paying to come and see all of these vehicles, and if you're driving off, well, what's the point in paying to see this show? It's also a health and safety thing. Now, if you're on flat ground, slow moving, I can understand decent weather conditions. You know, if you need to leave, there's an emergency or something like that, you know, it can be done under the supervision of stewardship without anybody risking getting hurt. But in a situation where you're on embankment, a field with long grass, it's very wet, it's very muddy, the risk of an accident taking place is really quite big. I'm not so much asking should the show have gone ahead, but how early is it too early to leave? Should you be moving around when there's that many members of the public walking around? Get in the comments to let me know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this. So thanks for watching. See you again in the next episode, which, if I remember rightly, will be West Hartlepool Rugby Club. That's an NECPWA show, and it's looking to be quite good weather. Bye now.